Shailaja ji, Praful Ketkar ji, and Raka Sudhakar Rao ji. My heart reaches out to all three of them to have given me the opportunity to be here. And I cannot stop myself from taking Ayushji's name, who's been that the Gopal who has left the calf towards its mother. This Kashmir has been a calling after having participated in Kargil and then being a Swayam Sevak at some point in time. I knew that I wanted to work with the Kashmir related activity. But being amongst academicians like Raka Sudhakar Rao ji and with Prafulla Ketkar ji and Shailaja ji, I just feel small despite having been a soldier. Small because of their achievements and feel magnetized in their company. The little time I got to spend before I walked into here on stage gave me a lot of insights into the Article 370 work, the little that I had known. But like a true soldier, I have to be introduced to strategy. I only know the groundwork, only to point a weapon at the enemy and take the bullets if required. So coming to the purpose why I am here today is, like I said, the opportunity to have translated a great book called Agyata Kashmir, which is in Telugu. And my exposure to Telugu unfortunately kept diminishing from the time I joined the Air Force in 91. It's a sad reality, and I really I'm embarrassed and I apologize for that. But this is an earnest attempt to improve my Telugu by first reading and translating to English, which I think is the medium that I'm able to even speak today. But the same job, if Ayushji had given me to translate from English to Telugu, would have been very difficult for me. So the Telugu to English, I found it was easy, but that's also helping me understand Telugu more. But it was a task, a challenge with Raka Sudhakar ji's flowery Telugu, and translate that to meaningful English was very difficult. However much I've taken the aid of AI, Google Translate and other tools, I still had to spend time to make it sensible. So I will first want to put across this condition that if you are reading something, some great parts of that book, which I will really appreciate if all of you can lay your hands and read that book, and you'll enjoy it as much as I had spent time reading and translating it. So coming to what Prafulla ji has talked about Kargil, I'll take this opportunity again today, being the Kargil Vijay Divas, to reach out to say that the life loss has definitely been a lot, and we have lost great sons of the soil in trying to recapture the lands that were occupied by the Pakistan army. Let's not mince words. They're not terrorists, they're not mujahideens. They were regular soldiers of the Pakistan army who had ingressed into our lands. And that was a sad part of our history today. But a lot has been learned through it. Again, that not only restricted the armed forces to not cross the line of actual control while trying to push back the enemy back into their lands, but it had continued to give us the strength and energy. Like Prafulji has told, today the strategy is very different. We are able to go deep inside the enemy territory and strike at our choice of targets. So we've come a long way. And for that, I would also like to sarcastically pass a thank you to Musharraf, because it was his game plan to have done what he did in 1999. He cooked the plan many years earlier. He could not take the loss when he was a young officer, artillery officer in the Pak army, way back in 1971, with the Bangladesh liberation that he saw. Though he did not operate in East Pakistan, he was in West Pakistan, but he saw that major loss, and then their prisoners of war, and then the Shimla agreement. And Musharraf took it very personally. As if that much was not enough, as he was growing in service, in 84, Operation Meghdut happened. India had sensed that Pakistan was trying to capture Siachen Heights. And the information that was available to Indians at that time made us with rapidity occupy Siachen. And once that was done, it added almost salt to wounds of Musharraf. And Musharraf was waiting for the right time. And the right time came in 98. Like Prafulji has said, after the nuclear tests that India had performed. And the same month, Pakistan jumped in to do their tests with Chinese help. And after that, both the neighbors became nuclear capable. And they thought this is going to give them the necessary immunity to do whatever they want and get away. Exactly like the children in today's generation. They can do anything and the parents will not say anything to them. Something similar Musharraf had got himself into, and then he thought he can get away. But then, though he had put the start plan in place, the end was not in his hands. And the Indian Army, with the help of Indian Air Force and the Navy, have successfully thwarted that whole plan of Musharraf. So now, where do we stand with Agyata Kashmir? Like how Shri Ramji had laid the Setu, keeping that in the background, I can say that there are some people, or you can say some species, if you understand, there were not just Nals and the Neels and the Hanumans and the Sugrivs. There were Vanars and there were squirrels and other life forms which we can only imagine, probably ants and snakes and crows and other birds that have contributed in whatever way they can to contribute to this Setu. I feel that Raka Sudhakarji has emoted with some life forms in that Setu building activity. And he has beautifully put that research, that effort and help. And all this, mind you, is happening a few years before the Article 370 and 35A's revoking. Before these articles were abrogated, Raka Sudhakarji has already been working on pulling out these stories. And these stories not only become the medium to pay gratitude to those people, but they highlight something very interesting. His stories that had come up in Jagruti as a series, they highlight the importance of humility, gratitude, and the idea that even small efforts can make a difference when done with sincerity and love. And to appreciate that is no less like what Ramji had done to the squirrel. And putting that in a book form today and contributing to that is an opportunity, like I said again. Now, coming to some things from the book, I'd like to tell you that the book goes back in covering stories of great men like Lalitaditya, almost 1300 years ago, when he reigned India from almost the heights of Afghanistan all the way to the Indian Ocean. Similarly, the story of Zorawar Singh, almost 200 years ago, as part of the Dogra regiment, he had risen up under Gulab Singh's rule from being a soldier to a commander, Zorawar Singh. And then the story of Swami Lakshman, almost 100-year-old story in Kashmir, who was a Shaivite, and his work. Then Kushak Bakula from Ladakh. Then the very important story of Meherchand Mahajan, who was the first Prime Minister sent by Sardar Patel for Kashmir, who became very instrumental in getting the Maharaja to sign the accession in time. And the story of the Ali Beg jail, which is no less than the Auschwitz and the Pol Pot's gory stories that all of you would have heard. So there are fantastic stories in this book. Some of them were first time for me, and I had just stopped translating at that time and read it and just sat almost meditating upon how this could have happened. It had raised my blood pressure, I'm sure my body temperature and my hairs were all up when I was doing this work. So I can say the stories of this book are heart-wrenching, some of them. In fact, the story of some of the stories all of you know, the Nirmaljit Singh Seko's Shaitan Singh story during the Indo-China war, And similarly, one very interesting story, like you can say the squirrel stories, are the story of Mahavir Chakra Dhobi Ramchandra. So that is a very inspiring story, how just a class 4 employee, a civilian who is part of an engineer's regiment, trying to repair a bridge, takes up the weapon to fight the enemy, and he goes on to get the Mahavir Chakra. Why should he do that? Who's a Dhobi, traveled from some part in India to be with the engineers regiment in Kashmir, and to do that. And then there are great stories like Brigadier Usman, like religion did not stop him. He had an opportunity to become part of Pakistan army, but he chose not to. He moves to India after the partition and then participates, shows his loyalty, patriotism. And coincidentally, his story that really touched me, Brigadier Usman's story, was his tomb that was made in the Jamia Millia Islamia, where his tomb was made, and how some anti-national elements had tried to demolish, destroy it, and how the army had taken it up and remade it. So that story was heart-wrenching. How the people who are against this country, they don't care when the contributors are from their own faith. They don't care about it. Such lovely stories in that book of just some 100+ pages that can ignite the necessary triggers in your mind and connect you to Kashmir. So far away, thousands of miles. I will say you don't have to participate in wars like Kargil. And you don't have to travel to Kashmir as a tourist. You can be here and feel the pain and feel the effort and the sacrifices of the people who have contributed, and only few of them have been captured by someone like Raka Sudhakarji in putting them, encapsulate them in a book like this, Agyata Kashmir, or the Whispers from the Unknown Stories of Kashmir. Similarly, there is an interesting story about the encounter with Commander Harinder Sikka. His book was on, I think, Sehmat Calling. That is the book he wrote based on that. And that bit has come in this book beautifully, capturing the real story behind that particular novel that later became a movie called The Razi. So that's a very moving story. If anyone picks that book, each story, you read just one story a day, and then regurgitate that story and do your own research. It will do a lot for each one of you. And each one of you can light, I'm sure, 1,000 lamps. Each one of you. Go on to tell everyone you come across the stories that have happened there, small and big, like I said. And some other great stories like a saint soldier in 1960s in Siachen about Om Prakash. He is popularly become a Baba, OP Baba. And how the soldiers treat him as a god there. And there's a temple made for him. So that story. Thereafter, there's a fantastic story on a Gujjar girl called Rukhsana. Rukhsana has taken the form of Durga in that story, and she kills the very terrorists who were exploiting her. How did she take the AK-47 to terminate those terrorists? That story is there. And these stories, unfortunately, are not going to make it to our school books, but our kids need to be told these stories for Kashmir to be valued, and other parts of this country that are not in control or are being denied to this country to become part of this country. So what I understood of this book is it is not just paying gratitude to all the people who have laid down their lives or given their best of their youth during the times they have served in Kashmir, whether they were from any part of the country, whether from Arunachal Pradesh or from Kerala or from Karnataka, or whether they were born within Ladakh, Jammu or Kashmir areas. All those people have had only one thing in their mind, that they thought the head of this nation, the Mukut, is part of the body, the same body that all of us are adoring today. And that is the reason why they never wanted to let go of. So I think there are another last couple of stories that I really want to connect with you is a story about Nabil Wani. Nabil Wani's story is greater than Burhan Wani. Nabil Wani and Burhan Wani are compatriots born around the same region between Tral and Udhampur area, and both picked up weapons. One for the terrorist, one for the security forces. And Nabil Wani is still serving, as I understand. So he is the real hero, not Burhan Wani, which some media homes and some others will try to always put limelight on. I'm sure that we'll keep waiting for more stories like this from Kashmir, because there are a lot of them hidden out there and buried, with great men like Raka Sudhakarji will keep digging for us and then show it to us and make us more aware of what's happened in Kashmir. Like that, there are stories in every part of this country, but today being Kargil and the book being Agyata Kashmir, I think all kudos to Raka Sudhakarji. He did promise in the book, somewhere I remember reading that he left out two great men in this book. One happens to be Shyama Prasad Mukherjee and the other one is Premnath Dogra. So these two names he said he has not included in these stories, because he wants to give, I think, a comprehensive or detailed writing later on them. So we'll continue to wait for that. The last thing with I had heard from one of our friends who's changed his form, is sitting here today, Vidyaji, long ago tell me once about a particular tribe in Telangana. That tribe continues to exist. There's a continuity in that tribe, and that tribe continues to exist while all the other tribes in their region, these are, I'm talking about Tegalu, Jatulu, I think they are part of Adilabad, if I'm right, Nirmal Adilabad area. So there is one tribe that goes around singing praises of rest of the tribes of their region. They are the only ones who are not getting converted. All the other tribes are getting converted. So I feel with people like Raka Sudhakarji doing a job like this, I think we will continue to have such great stories sung of great men, irrespective, and continue to remind us of the sacrifices that people have made. Even though they never wanted any limelight or attention, but till such time people like Raka Sudhakarji are here, they will always keep pointing us to the greatness of such men who went down in the annals of history without their name ever being taken. That's all. I think I'll end it with a small shloka from the Gita. All of you will be very familiar. I had to put in effort to note this down, so I'll read it from there. Yat karoshi yat ashnasi yat johoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam.